Welcome back to the Analysts. I'm here with Tucker Smith. Great to have you in studio today.
Great to be here.
We haven't been very active lately. Haven't really posted a video in a year, but we're back and just ready to talk to you about what's going on in the world of sports. As we get closer to the playoffs in the NFL, Week 14. A lot of things that can still happen in the playoff picture. And, Tucker, I've just got, some stuff that I'd like to ask you about. First of all, the NFC East. We know you're a pretty big Eagles fan. What do you think's happening in that division?
Well, right now you have the three-way tie with the Giants, Eagles, and Redskins all tied at 6 and 7. Pretty much right now anything can happen. I see anything happening right now. Right now I believe they have the Eagles and the Redskins probably most likely coming out on top of that.
That's probably what I agree
Giants
with.
do have a tough matchup against the Panthers this week, which is going to be rough.
Which is a very intriguing matchup with Odell and Josh Norman on the outside.
That is going to be a great matchup. I really think that Odell will probably come out on top. He does most of the time. Even though Norman's a great cornerback, I really think that Odell is the better player.
Now, I've heard this week that some people give the upper hand to Josh Norman just because of that Panthers unit that is very good in the secondary. And do you think they'll provide some help to Josh Norman? And, he usually stays on the outside, and Odell likes to move around. They put him in the slot some. Do you think there could be a shadowing there?
Yeah, I really think that they'll probably double-team him, most likely, which will open up some other options for Victor Cruz and pretty much any other wide receivers. Right. Eventually they're gonna crack, and something's gonna be left wide open. If it's not Beckham, then it's going to be someone else.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm kind of with you on that. I actually think the Giants are probably the most dangerous team in that division if they can establish a running game, which has been spotty all year. Odell Beckham Jr. is probably just the most complete receiver in the NFL. I mean, you've got Antonio, Julio, some other players. But, they're probably my favorite to win the division right now just because of the experience of Eli Manning, who's been there before. You've got a couple young quarterbacks in that division. Kirk Cousins with the Redskins, who is a franchise quarterback. And they'll probably be good for years to come, The young running game with Alfred Morris and Matt Jones in the backfield. And, Deshaun Jackson, as he continues to get back to full health, we'll see what happens there. The Eagles with 2 straight, back-to-back big wins.
Big wins.
Big wins.
Definitely.
Sam Bradford, definitely, I'd say you've been playing better.
Yes. He's thrown 7 touchdowns with only 1 interception in the past couple games, which I'm pretty sure is the only time he's done it the whole entire year.
Right. That's the thing with the Eagles. If they can, not turn the ball over like they have in past games, keep playing good defense. I could see them getting in, but right now I'd say the Giants just because they've been there, done that. And they got the best wide receiver in the game. Who do you see in the NFC as the other than the Panthers, maybe a team that could? Who do you see as a challenger for the Panthers?
Well, a lot of people think it's the Cardinals, but I disagree with that. I think it's the Seahawks. The Seahawks struggled mightily, a lot at the beginning of the season. Started like 2-4, I think, but now they're on a roll. They're 7-5 now, or 8-5, something like that.
8-5.
But 8-5. And so I really think that they're the team to beat besides the Panthers. They've got the passing game doing a great job right now. Russell Wilson connecting to Lockett and Baldwin. He's done very well the past couple weeks. And then the rushing game has got a lot of injuries with Lynch and then now Thomas Rawls. And now they'll have to use, I believe it's DeJuan Harris.
Bryce Brown that they just signed.
Bryce Brown. They'll kind of use them as a combo running attack, I think, this week. But defense, of course, one of the best in the NFL right now. So I really think that they're the next best team after the Panthers.
I've said this time and time again. I think it's a 3-way hunt between the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Panthers, and I'd probably give the upper hand to the Panthers just because of their combination of. Obviously, the leading candidate for MVP, Cam Newton, the running game with Jonathan Stewart, if he can come back in full strength. But, they're going with Fozzie Whitaker this week as he's out. Cameron Artis-Payne, former Auburn running back, might see some carries also. But, they've just got the complete Ted Ginn. Whenever he's got the ball in his hands, fastest player in the league. he is a nightmare for opposing secondaries because you don't have a guy that can match up with him speed-wise. With that being said, Seattle, probably still the most dangerous team in the NFC to me because they have Russell Wilson who knows how to win football games. That passing attack lately in recent weeks, I mean, Wilson throwing 5 touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. As you said, young receivers like Doug Baldwin, Ricardo Lequette, Tyler Lockett out of USC, out of Kansas State, my bad. Just young playmakers. And if, I honestly think they're just saving Lynch for the playoffs, making sure he's completely healthy. They can get back, establish that running game. I think they're probably the team to beat
I think
in the
so
NFC.
Too.
So moving on to the AFC. So many moving parts. We got really it's looking like now a 3-way hunt for the wild cards, and between Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and the Jets. With basically Buffalo being kind of eliminated last week.
They're kind of hinting at kind of making the playoffs. Maybe the Raiders. I really don't think either of those teams will make it. It's definitely between the Jets, Steelers, and Chiefs.
So out of those 3 wild cards, who do you think is probably the most dangerous to? It's either going to be a matchup with Cincinnati or Denver. So what are you thinking in that?
I definitely think it's the Steelers. They've got one of the best offenses in the NFL right now with Roethlisberger connecting to Antonio Brown a lot. He's got Marcus Wheaton. He's got so many threats at the wide receiver position. And then even with Le'Veon Bell out for the rest of the season, D'Angelo Williams has been a very good backup running back for them. He's done a great job past couple weeks. And I really think, their offense, of course, is really doing really good right now. But defense, not the same. They're not as good, but I think it's enough to get them the win, a win.
Now, who do you think has the upper hand in getting that first round bye, Denver or Cincinnati?
Well, the injury to Andy Dalton's definitely going to be a setback for the Bengals right now. Not that I'm saying A.J. McCarron isn't good. I'm saying that he's, of course, not high caliber as Dalton right now. But they went deep with him a lot. They like throwing deep with McCarron, and he's also got one of the best wide receivers, A.J. Green, to throw to. But I would say Denver. Denver's kind of they've got the upper hand. Brock Osweiler's done a really good job relieving Peyton Manning after his injury. They've got kind of a dual threat rushing attack with Hillman and C.J. Anderson. Receiving wise, they've got Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders to throw to. And then they, not recently, but a couple weeks ago, they got Vernon Davis at the tight end spot. And the defense, of course, is shut down. They've been pretty much the whole season.
Number 1 in the league in pretty much every statistical category.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Bengals' defense isn't bad, but not as good as the Broncos. So I think that the Broncos would get the upper hand for the 2 seed.
Here's how I see it. I think to play each other next week. That's right. I just want to go ahead and say I don't think A.J. McCarron is much of a drop-off from Andy Dalton. The guy's a winner. He's played in big games before. 2-time national champion down at the University of Alabama. And, I would probably give the upper hand to the Bengals just because of this reason. With with Peyton Manning coming close to full health, and you've also got Brock Osweiler, I think problems are about to arise in Denver. Peyton Manning running the scout team yesterday. First time he's probably ran the scout team since maybe his early high school days. Maybe. I mean, that's a big maybe, too. And, like I said, they play each other next week. I'm interested to see how Denver's going to be able to move the ball on that Cincinnati defense. And I wouldn't say it's as much as Cincinnati defense as the Broncos offense shooting themselves in the foot. Khalil Mack, 5 sacks last week. That offensive line is literally crumbling right now in Denver. And just because of probably a lot of people are going to call me crazy for this, I'd give McCarron the edge over probably Osweiler or Manning right now, just because of the offensive line, the supporting cast he has around him, and matchups too. So I'd probably give the upper hand to the Bengals in that situation. Let's now move on to the AFC South. Tucker, who do you see coming out of that division?
Well, it's a very close race right now with I believe the Colts are up a game on the Jaguars.
And then the Texans are also tied with them.
Okay.
The Colts.
Well, I really don't see. Obviously, Titans are out of it. I don't think they've even got nothing in them to win that division. Texans, I could see them kind of making a run. Offense has struggled this year. Defense, they've got a great defense with Jonathan Joseph, secondary, Watt, of course, anchoring that defensive line.
Right.
I don't really see the Texans winning it either. I believe it's between the Jaguars and the Colts. And, of course, they met last week, and Jaguars just absolutely destroyed them.
Right.
Scoring over 50 points on them. Colts defense hasn't been that well. Hasn't been that good this year. Jaguars defense you can say the same for them too. The offense I think Jaguars offense has done a lot better than I think they had.
Making big strides with Gus Bradley. I think great coach.
Bortles has done great this year. They've got Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns as a kind of combo receiver threat out there. Of course, Yeldon went down with I believe it was a knee injury last week, and you saw a little bit of Denard Robinson, who did pretty well. And I believe if Yeldon's held out this week, then you'll see Robinson again. But
who you got in the division?
I think the Jaguars will come out on top. I like their offense. Their offense is doing well, and I think they'll come out on top eventually.
I also like the Jaguars, and here's why. Stability at the quarterback position. Blake Bortles been playing out of his mind the last few weeks, but good Blake Bortles, bad Blake Bortles. I heard Chris Carter on Mike and Mike earlier in the week reminds him of a young Brett Favre. His good is really good. His bad's really bad. Blake can figure it out, get a little more consistent these last 3 weeks of the season. The Colts and the Texans are both not very healthy at quarterback right now. You got the Colts probably going to be starting Charlie Whitehurst this week. Maybe Matt Hasselbeck if he is healthy. And we'll see if he goes. T.J. Yates is going to be starting this week for the Texans. The Jaguars, also obviously, a beat down last week in Jacksonville against the Colts. That defense played incredible. Probably just with the combination of Bortles, that defense, if they keep playing well, they got a lot of young pieces on offense. Julius Thomas, Hurns, Robinson, the running back in Yeldon, maybe the one-two punch with him and Robinson. You also got Toby Gerhart in there. Along with Bortles. They're really my favorite to win the division. Moving on to Super Bowl picks. Who you got?
Well, for the NFC...
Just week 14. Today.
Okay, today. I really don't see any flaws with the Panthers right now. I would have to go with the Panthers. As much as I like how the Seahawks are playing right now, Cardinals are also doing very well. I really think the Panthers are the best overall team as a whole in the NFC. I like them right now for the NFC. AFC, that's a bit of a tougher choice. Patriots have been struggled lately with two losses, but got the win last week against the Texans. Got back on the right track.
Injuries, though, plagued them.
Injuries, of course, at the running back position, wide receiver position, everywhere. It's been bad for them. Bengals, they're a reeling team right now. They started that, I believe, it was 8-0. Haven't done very well since. Of course, Dalton's a major setback. McCarron's a solid backup, though. And then the Broncos, I like the Broncos out of the AFC. It's a tough choice, but I think the Broncos have got the defense to actually support their offense. Their offense has struggled sometimes this year, failed to get the rushing game going with some not high caliber running backs. But I think that the Broncos could get it done with the potential comeback of Peyton Manning. Of course, he's great in the postseason.
If Pittsburgh can get into the playoffs, they're my favorite to go all the way, and here's why. If you're looking at the AFC right now, you've got New England, you got Cincinnati, you got Denver. You're like, man, those are some great defenses. Pittsburgh's offense right now is doing some things that I haven't seen a team do in my lifetime. I mean, with the combination of receivers they got with Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, I mean, he hit a home run on any given play. They've obviously got D'Angelo Williams working well in the run game. Ben can make all the throws. He's getting back to full health. And if this team can stay healthy and get in, they're my favorite just because of that. Obviously, in the NFC, I'd probably right now have to go with the Panthers, agreeing with you. They're the most complete team right now. And the only maybe setback I could see them having is they're probably going to play Seattle in round 2. So even if they do get out of that game, that's going to be a slugfest. Then probably having to play Arizona.
He did Arizona last year in the
right.
playoffs, so could be another rematch.
Right. They had Ryan Lindley going in that game. Carson Palmer's been playing, having an MVP caliber season.
Of course.
But right now I'd probably have to go with Pittsburgh just because of the way that offense is playing right now. Moving on to the NFL draft. Obviously it's early. Todd McShay has just released his first mock draft. Tucker, the top 10 right now is looking something like Tennessee, San Diego, Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit, San Francisco, Dallas, Jacksonville, Miami, and New Orleans, which Jaguars won't stay because, with them in the playoffs. You might see, the Bears, maybe St. Louis, in there. Also, who is the number one player in your mind?
Number one overall player has got to be Joey Bosa. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying that, but I got to agree with them. He's got tremendous talent at the defensive end position. Of course, went to Ohio State, which is they had a decent season this year, having only one loss. But I just think with his talent, he's able to rush the passer. He's able to stop the run. He's able to do anything that you ask him to do, and he's got tremendous NFL talent. And I just think that he's the best overall player in the draft.
I'd have to agree with you, most likely. Another player, though, that's really close to him, in my mind, is probably Vernon Hargreaves out of Florida. A real, legitimate shutdown corner who, for years, has been going up against basically the number one receiver in the best conference in America every week. I mean, he has faced Amari Cooper, Odell Beckham. I mean, just many elite wide receivers in his time in the SEC. And, you really can't, he's never really been exposed on the national level. Whatever team can get their hands on him, they're getting a good one in Vernon Hargreaves.
I agree.
Obviously, the Browns back in, the top 10.
Yeah.
Pretty much every year, it seems they seem to come up with a high draft pick. Who's the first quarterback off the board in your mind?
Well,
say first, and then maybe after Paxton Lynch, who do you see?
Yeah, I don't really think that Paxton Lynch is the number one quarterback. I get that he played with a great Memphis team this year, but his level of talent I really don't think is number one quarterback worthy. If I were to go with the number one quarterback, there's a lot of guys up at the top that you could kind of interchange back and forth with. You got Jared Goff from California. He was with that air raid offense all 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Cook from Michigan State. He's a veteran player. He knows how to call the plays. He knows what he's doing. And then Dak Prescott, of course, has got great NFL size. He's a great runner, and he can throw as well. Out of those three, I kind of like Connor Cook. He's got, I just think, the mentality of a NFL quarterback, and I think that he's got the most talent out of the those top four quarterbacks, including Paxton Lynch.
So you're saying Connor Cook?
Yes,
totally agree. He's a great option. He's won a lot of games at Michigan State over his 4 years, and I'm with you. Early in the season, I'm like, this Paxton Lynch kid out of the American Conference, I don't understand why he's rated so high, but as I've, maybe watched some game tape, read into it, I mean, a 6'7" pocket passer, ranked pretty high in all the nation's passing statistical categories. I really do see him being a major prospect, maybe a top 5 pick. maybe even the number 1 overall pick if, it maybe lands with the right team. I could see Cleveland taking a quarterback, which I don't understand. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about Johnny Manziel, but after Paxton Lynch, there's a couple quarterbacks that I think are very intriguing prospects with NFL size. Cardale Jones, 12 gauge, lit up the nation last year in the playoffs. Kind of came out of nowhere. Surprised a lot of people, taking them all the way to the national championship game and winning. Like you also said, Connor Cook, pretty good option. Also, Christian Hackenberg, number 1 overall quarterback coming out of high school, 5-star recruit, chooses to go to Penn State with Bill O'Brien in the midst of all the sanctions. This kid's been through a lot. He's got the size. He's got the strength. He's got the arm talent. I think the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft, probably 4, Paxton Lynch, Connor Cook, Cardale Jones, and Christian Hackenberg. If you had to ask me to take one, I'd probably say Paxton Lynch, with Hackenberg and Cardale not far behind. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of The Analysts. Just want to thank Tucker Smith for being on the show today. Follow us on Twitter, @TheAnalysts. And just thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.